Imagine you're at a cozy family dinner. The table is packed with food, laughter fills the room, and everyone's telling their best stories. Think about being at a warm family dinner. The table is full of delicious dishes, everyone's laughing loudly, and people are sharing funny memories. But right beneath the table, your dog is on a secret mission. He's sneaking from one person to another, stealing bits of food. Under the table, your sneaky dog is busy moving between people, grabbing little pieces of food without anyone noticing. A piece of bread here, a slice of ham there. Everyone's so busy talking they don't even realize. Then suddenly, poof, the turkey is gone. He nabs some bread from one side, a bit of ham from another. Everyone's chatting so much they don't see a thing. And then, whoosh, the turkey has disappeared. People stop mid-sentence looking around in shock. You might say, "How did the turkey just vanish?" And your cousin whispers, "It's beneath the table." Conversations freeze and people glance around shocked. You ask, "Where did the turkey go?" Your cousin leans in and says, "It's under there." Now let's shift scenes. Imagine yourself at a fancy gala. Chandeliers sparkle above and people are dressed in tuxedos and gowns. Picture yourself at a high-class party. The lights from the chandeliers glitter and everyone is wearing fancy clothes. The mayor of the city is there holding a glass of champagne. Suddenly, he spills his drink all over the floor. The mayor shows up with a glass of champagne in hand, but suddenly it slips, spilling onto the ground. But instead of grabbing a napkin, he scoffs and says, "That's beneath my dignity." He thinks he's too important to clean it up. Instead of cleaning it, he laughs and says, "I'm too important for that." He feels it's not his job to deal with spills. Everyone around him freezes, unsure what to do. Then his young daughter steps forward, picks up a napkin, and wipes the floor. People nearby just stand there, confused. But his little daughter calmly grabs a napkin and cleans up the mess. She doesn't care about pride or appearances. She just fixes the problem. Simple as that. She ignores all the fuss about looking important and just takes care of it. See how beneath works in both stories? In the first, it's literal. The dog is physically beneath the table, sneaking food. Did you notice how the word is used in both examples? In the first story, it shows the dog is actually under the table, taking snacks. In the second, it's all about pride. When something is beneath your dignity, it means you feel too important to do it. In the second case, it's about feeling superior. If you say something is beneath your dignity, it means you think you're too good for it. But where did this word come from? Picture old English villages hundreds of years ago. People used beneath to talk about position. So, where did this word start? Imagine old villages in England long ago. People used it when talking about where something was placed. "The cat sleeps beneath the bed," they'd say. But over time, people started using it to describe social status too. They'd say things like, "The cat is under the bed." But as years passed, people also began using it to talk about rank in society. Kings and nobles would call tasks like cleaning or farming beneath them because they saw those jobs as lower than their status. Royalty and rich folks said chores like cleaning or farming were below them because they felt those jobs were too low for their position. Funny, right? A simple word about position became a symbol of pride and ego. It's kind of funny how a basic word for where something is turned into a way to talk about pride and arrogance. Now think about where beneath fits into your life. Have you ever felt like a task was beneath you? Think for a second. Have you ever felt like a certain job was too small for you to do? Or maybe you've seen someone act like they're too good for something simple. Or have you noticed someone acting like simple work wasn't worth their time? You could say, "He thinks washing dishes is beneath him," or "She didn't help because she felt it was beneath her." You might hear, "He believes doing the dishes is below him," or "She refused to help because she thought it was too simple for her." On the flip side, imagine using it in a literal way. You're at a picnic and you drop your sandwich. Now, let's use it in a real simple way. You're at an outdoor lunch and oops, your sandwich falls down. You might say, hey, my sandwich fell beneath the table. Can you grab it? You could say, hey, my sandwich slipped under the table. Can you get it for me? Beneath has layers, like meanings hiding beneath the surface. It can be simple, like your dog under the table. This word has different sides to it. Some are obvious, like when your dog is under the table. Or it can reveal something deeper, like pride and attitude. That's what makes it such a cool word. But it can also show deeper ideas, like how people feel about themselves. That's why it's such an interesting word to know. It connects the physical world with how we feel inside. It links real-life places with our thoughts and emotions. Imagine you're swimming in a crystal-clear lake. The water is calm, the sun is warm, and everything feels peaceful. But beneath the surface, something ancient is waiting. You're floating in a lake so clear you can see the bottom. The sun warms your skin, the water is still, and everything feels just right. But deep below, something very old is hiding. An old city, lost to time, hidden under the waves. You dive deeper, your fingers brushing against stone carvings no one has seen for centuries. What secrets lie below? There's a forgotten city sleeping underwater. You swim further down and your hands touch ancient stones no one has found in ages. What mysteries are waiting down there? Where else could you use beneath the surface? Maybe when talking about a person, someone who seems happy but is actually struggling inside? Could this phrase fit other situations? Like when someone looks cheerful but is quietly battling problems inside? You might say, he looks fine, but beneath the surface he's really stressed. Or, this quiet town has secrets beneath the surface. For example, you could say, he seems okay on the outside, but deep inside he's under a lot of stress. Or, this peaceful town is hiding some dark stories. When we say beneath the surface, we don't just mean water or objects. It's about hidden truths, things that aren't obvious at first glance. Beneath the surface isn't just about what's underwater or things. It also means secrets or facts that aren't easy to see at first. Have you ever climbed a ladder to paint your house? You're almost done when your phone rings. You reach for it, lose balance, and boom! Think about standing on a ladder, painting your house. Just as you're finishing, your phone buzzes. You try to grab it, slip, and crash. You fall beneath the ladder, straight into your neighbor's pie. The smell of apples and cinnamon fills the air as you sit there, covered in filling. You tumble down, landing right in your neighbor's fresh pie. Now you're sitting there, smelling like apples and cinnamon with pie all over you. Now think about this phrase. Falling beneath something can mean literally dropping down, but it can also mean failing or not meeting expectations. This phrase isn't just about falling down physically. It can also mean you didn't do as well as expected or fell short in some way. You might hear, his grades fell beneath the school's standards, or she refuses to fall beneath her own high expectations. People might say, his grades weren't good enough for the school's rules. Or she won't let herself do worse than her own high goals. Fall beneath can mean going lower, physically or in status. Sometimes it's funny, like landing in a pie. Sometimes it's serious, like failure. Fall beneath talks about dropping down, either in real life or in achievements. It can be funny, like falling in a pie, or serious, like not reaching your goals. Imagine standing on stage. Hundreds of eyes are on you. You open your mouth, but your mind goes blank. Your heart pounds. Your hands shake. Picture yourself in front of a big crowd. Everyone's staring, and when you try to speak, your mind goes empty. Your heart races and your hands start to tremble. You want to sink beneath the floor, disappear completely. Your face burns. The silence stretches. Then, suddenly, the audience starts clapping, thinking it's part of your act. You wish you could vanish into the ground and be invisible. Your cheeks feel hot. The quiet feels endless. But then, out of nowhere, the crowd claps, thinking it's part of your show. Embarrassment can feel like a weight pulling you down. That's why we say sink beneath when we feel overwhelmed, crushed by pressure or emotion. When you're really embarrassed, it feels heavy, like something dragging you down. That's why people say sink beneath when emotions feel too much to handle. You might hear, she felt like she could sink beneath the pressure. Or, his mistakes made him want to sink beneath the ground. People might say, she felt like the stress was too much to handle. Or, his errors made him wish he could just disappear. Sink beneath is about emotions pulling you down, like water dragging you under. It's different from fall beneath. Falling is fast, but sinking is slow. Sink beneath means feelings slowly pulling you down, like water pulling you deeper. It's not like falling, which happens quickly. Sinking takes its time. Beneath the surface is about hidden things. Fall beneath is about failing or dropping lower. Sink beneath is about emotions pulling you down. Beneath the surface talks about things that are hidden. Fall beneath means not meeting expectations. Sink beneath is when feelings make you feel low. These phrases all use beneath in different ways, but they share one idea, something being lower than it seems, either literally or metaphorically. All these expressions use beneath differently, but they all point to the same idea, something being deeper or hidden, either in reality or in meaning. So next time you see water, stairs, or even a bad situation, think, what's beneath the surface? What's really hiding below? So when you notice water, steps, or a tough moment, ask yourself, what's hidden underneath? What's really going on behind it? Imagine you're in an old, dusty library, the kind where the air feels heavy and every book smells like history. Picture yourself in a very old library with dusty shelves. The air feels thick, and every ancient book seems to whisper stories from the past. You're flipping through an ancient book when suddenly, the floor crumbles beneath your feet. You drop into a hidden chamber. You start turning pages in a very old book, then the ground under your feet breaks apart. You fall into a secret room that nobody knew was there. It's glowing with strange symbols and soft whispers of forgotten knowledge. It feels like the ground just gave up on you. Inside, you see a faint glow. Odd signs on the walls seem to light up, like long-lost ideas are trying to speak. It feels like the floor simply let you go. Where do you think you'd use the word beneath here? Maybe you'd say, the floor crumbled beneath me. Now imagine where you might say under in this story. Perhaps you'd say, the floor broke under me. Or you might say, I didn't expect something so mysterious to be hidden beneath the library. Pretty cool, right? Or maybe you'd say, I had no idea something so strange was hidden under this library. Surprising, right? Now think about this. When something crumbles beneath you, it's not just falling. It can mean feeling overwhelmed too. Here's another thought. When the ground collapses under your feet, it's not only a real fall, it can also describe feeling too much pressure in life. Like when life gets heavy and you say, I'm crumbling beneath the stress. Same word, but totally different vibe. For example, when life feels tough, you might say, I'm collapsing under the stress. Same idea, but a completely different feeling. Let's leave that dusty library and head to a quiet night in the desert. You're lying on the sand, camping beneath the stars. Let's step away from the old library and imagine a calm night in the desert. You're resting on the sand, sleeping under shining stars. The sky is huge and endless. You're staring up, feeling small but peaceful under all that open space. The night sky seems so big it never ends. You look up, feeling tiny but relaxed in that wide open space. Then out of nowhere, a shooting star crosses the sky, but instead of fading, it lands softly beside you, glowing. Suddenly, a bright star darts across the sky. Instead of vanishing, it settles gently near you, glowing. You'd probably say, we slept beneath the stars, or the desert feels endless beneath this sky. You might say, we slept under the stars, or this desert feels never-ending under the huge sky. Using beneath like this feels calm and peaceful, like you're part of something bigger than yourself. Using under in this way sounds calm and soothing, like you belong to a vast universe. Funny, right? In the first story, beneath meant something breaking under you. Here, it feels safe and beautiful. Interesting, isn't it? Before, under hinted at danger and collapse. Now, it shows peace and beauty. Same word, totally different mood. One's about danger, the other's about feeling connected to the universe. It's the same idea, but with a completely new emotion. One story is scary, the other is all about wonder and feeling part of something larger. Now picture a small-town bakery. A young baker is cleaning out an old bread basket when she feels something strange. Imagine a little bakery in a quiet town. A young baker is tidying up an old bread basket when she senses something unusual. She pulls back the lining and finds a map hidden beneath it. But it's not a treasure map, not in the usual way. She lifts the cloth and discovers a hidden map under it. It isn't a normal treasure map, though. It leads to a secret recipe that changes her life and makes her bakery the best in town. The special plan on that map helps her create a recipe that turns her bakery into the most popular place around. You'd say the map was hidden beneath the lining. It's about finding something special where you least expect. You might say she hid the map under the cloth. It reminds us that amazing things can show up where we don't look. Kind of like how people hide feelings beneath a smile or how there's more to someone than what you see. It's similar to how people keep emotions under a smile. There's often much more to someone than what you see on the surface. So, what ties all these stories together? The word beneath connects them in cool, unexpected ways. So, what brings all these tales together? The idea of under links them in surprising ways. Whether you're falling through a floor, lying under the stars, or finding a hidden treasure, beneath points to something deeper. If you're crashing through broken floorboards, resting under the night sky, or discovering a secret, under suggests there's more going on. It can mean danger, peace, or surprise, depending on how you use it. Same word, different feelings. It can show fear, calm, or something exciting, depending on the moment. One term, many emotions. Next time you hear beneath, ask yourself, is it about pressure, beauty above you, or a hidden secret waiting to be found? When you see or hear under next time, think, is it about heavy stress, the beauty of the sky, or a secret waiting for you to uncover it? It's late and the streets are quiet. Two cops sit in their patrol car parked beneath a flickering streetlight. The radio crackles now and then, but nothing exciting's happening. It's really late and everything outside is silent. Two police officers are in their cruiser under a blinking lamp. The radio occasionally buzzes, but there's nothing big going on. Man, says Jake, sipping his coffee, you ever think about how weird it is that people used to live their whole lives underground? Dude, Jake says while taking a sip of his coffee, have you ever thought about how odd it is that some folks once spent their entire lives under the ground? Tom raises an eyebrow. Underground? Like mole people? Jake chuckles. No, like in Turkey. Derinkuyu, whole city carved beneath the earth. Tom lifts his eyebrow. Under the ground? Like tunnel dwellers? Jake laughs. Nah, more like Turkey's Derinkuyu. They dug out a whole city under the surface. They had houses, schools, even a winery down there. Tom whistles. A winery? Now that's living the good life beneath the ground. They had homes, schools, and even a winemaking place underground, he explains. Tom lets out a low whistle. Winemaking? That's really living it up under the earth. Jake nods. Can you believe that? Hiding from invaders, but still making sure you've got your wine stash. Jake nods. Crazy, right? They stayed out of sight from enemies, yet kept their wine safe. It was like an ancient underground apartment complex. Tom shakes his head, staring out the window. Bet it smelled funky, though. No fresh air down there. It was basically an old-style apartment building below the surface, he says. Tom looks out the window, shaking his head. I bet it smelled weird without any fresh air. They both laugh, the sound filling the quiet car. They both laugh, their voices echoing in the stillness of the patrol car. After a minute of silence, Tom leans back in his seat. You know what's even crazier? That city in Greece? He-like. After a short pause, Tom settles back into his chair. You know what's even more unbelievable? That place in Greece called He-like. Just sank beneath the sea after an earthquake. Gone in a blink. Jake taps the steering wheel. He-like was like the original Atlantis. It just dropped under the ocean because of an earthquake. Vanished in a flash, Jake says, tapping the wheel. He-like was basically the first Atlantis. Just chilling beneath the sea for 2,000 years before anyone found it. Tom snorts. Imagine fishing and pulling up a piece of someone's living room. It stayed under the water for 2,000 years before anyone discovered it. Tom laughs. Picture yourself fishing and hauling in a chunk of somebody's furniture. Hey, Frank, I caught a sofa. Jake laughs. Right? People walking on the beach, not even knowing there's a whole city beneath the waves. Hey, Frank, I got a couch. Jake jokes. Exactly. People strolling the beach, clueless that a whole city is under the water. Tom shakes his head. It's wild how stuff just disappears beneath something, earth, sea, whatever, but it's still there. Just hidden. Tom shakes his head. It's mind-blowing how things vanish under dirt, water, whatever, but they're still around. Just out of sight. Jake stretches his arms. Speaking of disappearing, you ever hear about Pompeii? Tom nods. Yeah, the town that got buried beneath volcanic ash, right? Jake stretches out. Talking about lost places, have you heard of Pompeii? Tom nods. Yeah, the place that ended up under tons of volcanic ash, right? Exactly, Jake says. Those towns sat frozen beneath the ash for centuries. It's like time just paused for them. Exactly, Jake replies. They stayed perfectly preserved under all that ash for hundreds of years. It's like time stopped. Tom leans forward, interested now. I read they found bread still in the oven. Imagine that. 1 minute you're baking, next, poof! Tom leans in, clearly intrigued. I heard they discovered bread still in the oven. Think about it. You're baking then. Bam! You're a statue beneath a mountain of ash. Jake laughs. Yeah, makes our job seem pretty simple, huh? You basically turn into a statue under all that ash. Jake laughs. Yeah, it sure makes our job look easy, huh? Tom grins. At least we're not getting buried beneath anything tonight. Tom smirks. At least we don't have to worry about getting covered by anything tonight. They sit in silence for a moment, both thinking about ancient cities lost beneath earth, sea, and ash. They pause for a bit, each imagining old towns that vanished under the ground, in the ocean, or under layers of ash. Jake finally breaks the silence. Funny how beneath always sounds like something bad. But those people? They built lives, stories, even legacies beneath all that. Jake finally speaks up. It's strange how under usually seems negative. But those folks, they created whole lives, tales, and even legacies down there. Tom nods, finishing his coffee. Yeah, beneath doesn't always mean forgotten. Sometimes it just means waiting to be found. Tom nods, finishing his drink. Yeah, being under something doesn't mean it's lost. Sometimes it's just waiting for somebody to uncover it. They both smile, the weight of history feeling lighter in the quiet night. They share a small smile, and all that history suddenly feels less heavy in the peaceful night. Let me take you to a courtroom. The air feels heavy, and everyone's waiting for the judge to speak. Imagine standing in a big hall where the judge is in charge. The atmosphere feels tense, and everyone's quiet, waiting for her to talk. A notorious thief stands there, giving excuse after excuse, blaming everyone but himself. The judge listens quietly, then leans forward. You see a well-known criminal making up reasons and blaming others. The judge stays calm, then moves in closer. She says, "Your lies are beneath contempt." The whole room goes silent. You can almost feel the words hanging in the air. She says, "Your lies are so shameful, they're not even worth an angry reply." Everyone stops talking. It's like her words are floating in the room. Now think about this phrase, beneath contempt. It's for something so awful, so low, it doesn't even deserve your anger. Now consider this expression. Something so terrible and so low that it's not even worth your outrage. It's worse than just bad. It's like saying, "You're not even worth my time." So where could you use this in real life? It's beyond simply bad. It's like saying, "I won't spend a second on you." So when might you say this in daily life? Maybe when someone cheats on a test and acts like it's no big deal. You might say, "That kind of behavior is beneath contempt." Maybe if a person copies answers during an exam and pretends it's fine, you'd say, "That sort of act is truly disgraceful." Or imagine your friend telling a story about someone who lies all the time. You could reply, "Wow, that's beneath contempt." Or if a buddy shares a story about someone who constantly makes things up, you could respond, "Wow, that's so low, it doesn't deserve respect." It's a strong phrase, full of emotion. It really hits hard, packed with strong feeling. Now, let's dive into the ocean. Picture yourself swimming, the sun shining on the water. Everything feels calm. Now imagine leaping into the sea. See yourself gliding in the water while sunlight sparkles above. It's all very peaceful. But beneath the waves, there's something unexpected. You spot a glowing cave and it's humming with strange music. But under the surface, there's a surprise. You find a bright cave that's making odd, magical sounds. No one's ever heard anything like it. Do you swim closer? Here, beneath the waves, is about the hidden world underwater. Nobody has ever come across sounds like these. Will you move closer? Here, under the water, we're talking about a secret underwater realm. It's calm on the surface, but under the waves, there's mystery and maybe danger. It's like life. You see what's on top. Everything looks quiet above, but down below there might be mystery or danger. It's like life. You only notice what's obvious at first. But there's always more going on underneath. Yet there's always another layer happening out of sight. When could you use this? Imagine you're talking about someone who seems happy but hides their feelings. You might say, "Beneath the waves, he's struggling." When would you use this idea? Think of a person who looks cheerful but keeps his emotions hidden. You might say, "Under the water, he's having a hard time." Or if you're talking about a place like an old lake, you could say, "There's a whole world beneath the waves. It's about what's hidden, waiting to be discovered." Or if you're describing a place like an ancient lake, you could say, "There's an entire hidden world below the surface. It's all about things that are waiting to be found." Now, let's rise up into the sky. You're in a hot air balloon, floating higher and higher. Now, let's drift upwards. You're standing in a hot air balloon that's lifting you into the clouds. The world looks small beneath the clouds, but then you notice something strange. The clouds aren't just mist. Below, the land seems tiny under those clouds, but then you notice something unusual. These clouds aren't just fog. They're hiding floating islands you've never seen before. Beneath the clouds sounds simple, but it's more than that. They're covering flying pieces of land you've never imagined. Saying "under the clouds" might sound basic, but there's more going on. It's about what's under the surface, like the ocean example. But this time, it's not mystery, it's wonder. It's about what lies below, like with the sea. Only now, it's not a secret, it's something magical. It's like finding magic where you didn't expect it. It feels like stumbling upon something amazing in a place you never thought to look. Where could you use this? Maybe when you're describing a plane ride. Beneath the clouds, the city lights looked like stars. When might you say this? Maybe as you talk about looking out of an airplane window. Under the clouds, the town's lights sparkled like little stars. Or when you're thinking deeply, you might say, there's beauty beneath the clouds of my worries. It adds a soft, dreamy feeling to what you're saying. Or if you're lost in thought, you could say, there's something lovely under the haze of my troubles. It gives your words a gentle, imaginative touch. So, what connects all of these, whether we're in a courtroom, the ocean, or the sky, beneath always points to something deeper. So, what links these scenes together? Whether it's a legal hearing, the sea, or the air above, the idea of being below something always hints at a deeper level. Something hidden, whether it's ugly like lies, mysterious like a glowing cave, or beautiful like floating islands. Something concealed. Maybe it's awful like falsehoods, puzzling like a lit-up cavern, or stunning like islands in the sky. It shows there's always more beneath the surface, waiting to be seen or felt. It reminds us there's always something else under what we first notice, ready for us to discover. Imagine you're walking down a busy street. Cars are honking, people rushing, everyone's in a hurry. But there, in a tiny crack on the sidewalk, a little flower is growing. Picture this. You're on a noisy street filled with cars and rushing people. In the middle of all that chaos, a small flower is sprouting from a crack in the pavement. No one notices it. It's beneath notice. But what if I told you that flower holds the last seed of a rare plant, something the world thought was gone forever? Nobody pays attention to it. People think it's too small to matter, but guess what? That tiny flower has the final seed of a special plant everyone believed had disappeared. Where could you use beneath notice? Maybe when you talk about something small or unimportant to most people, but special to you. You might use this phrase when you describe something that seems unimportant to others but holds meaning for you. You might say, that old bookstore was beneath everyone's notice, but I found the best stories there. Funny how something tiny can still matter, right? For example, nobody cared about that dusty bookstore, but I found amazing books inside. It's cool how little things can be meaningful, isn't it? Now picture yourself in a quiet forest at night. The moonlight is soft, almost magical. You're walking slowly, listening to the leaves crunch under your feet. Imagine being in a calm forest at night. The moonlight feels gentle and magical as you walk, hearing the soft crackle of leaves with each step. Suddenly you hear whispers. Strange words float through the air. You look around and see symbols carved into the trees, glowing faintly beneath the moon. Out of nowhere, soft whispers reach your ears. Odd words seem to float around you. You glance around and spot faintly glowing symbols carved into the trees. They lead you deeper into the forest. Do you follow? Beneath the moon feels mysterious, doesn't it? It's about things hidden in the night, things you wouldn't see during the day. The glowing marks seem to pull you further into the woods. Would you keep going? Being under the moonlight feels full of secrets, right? It reveals things the day hides. You could say, we danced beneath the moon until morning, if you had a special night out, or he found secrets beneath the moon, if you're telling a spooky story. You might describe a special evening by saying, we danced under the moonlight until sunrise. Or for a creepy story, he uncovered mysteries in the moon's glow. It's a phrase full of wonder and mystery, perfect for magical or secret moments. Notice how beneath notice and beneath the moon are different? The words feel magical and full of secrets, great for special or mysterious times. See how talking about ignored things isn't the same as talking about moonlit secrets? One's about stuff people ignore in plain sight. The other's about things hidden by the night. But both mean something is just out of sight, waiting to be found. One is about things people walk past without caring. The other is about hidden wonders at night. But both show that hidden things are still there, waiting to be noticed. Now, let's go somewhere else. What if you were digging in your backyard and your shovel hit something hard? Let's switch it up. Imagine digging in your garden when suddenly your shovel strikes something solid underground. You clear the dirt and find an old rusty key. Curious, you dig more and discover a hidden door buried beneath the earth. You brush the dirt away and spot a rusty old key. Your curiosity grows, so you dig deeper and find a secret door hidden under the soil. You unlock it, expecting treasure, but instead you find an old letter. It's addressed to you, but it's 100 years old. You open the door thinking you'll find treasure, but instead there's a worn-out letter with your name on it, even though it's from 100 years ago. Beneath the Earth sounds like an adventure, right? It's about hidden things forgotten over time. You might say, the treasure was buried beneath the earth. Hidden under the ground feels like the start of an adventure, doesn't it? It's about secrets lost over time. You could say, the treasure was hidden under the dirt. Or even old memories lie beneath the earth, if you're talking about family history. It's perfect for stories about secrets, lost things, or deep mysteries. You might also say, forgotten memories are buried under the ground if you're sharing family stories. It's great for tales about hidden pasts or long-lost items. When you think about it, all three, beneath notice, beneath the moon, and beneath the earth, talk about things hidden from view. If you look closer, all three phrases, ignored things, moonlit secrets, and buried treasures, are about things you can't see right away. Whether it's a tiny flower people ignore, a glowing symbol in the dark, or a letter buried for a century, beneath shows us that what's out of sight isn't always unimportant. Whether it's a small flower no one notices, a symbol shining in the night, or a letter hidden underground for years, these ideas show that hidden things can still matter. Sometimes the best stories are just waiting to be discovered, right beneath our feet. Often the greatest adventures are right under us, just waiting to be found.